We Want Fish Sticks, the bizarre and infamous rebranding of the New York Islanders. What a title, what an author. Nick Hirshon, thanks for joining us. Professor at William Patterson University. You're a diehard Islander fan, as we can tell by the tie. What led you to write this book?
Well, thanks for having me. I grew up as an Islanders fan in the late 1990s, and I didn't really know much about the story of the Fisherman logo, but I just heard fans saying this was this terrible period in our history. This is an unspeakable moment. We don't talk at all about this logo. And then that just made me more curious about, well, what's the real story? Why did they change to this logo that's been mocked as looking like this frozen seafood symbol? So I wanted to know what the true story was, because I knew there had to be some sort of context behind it. It wasn't just something where a few guys came up with crayons and created this logo one morning. There had to be something more there.
Okay, so what did you find out? What are some juicy nuggets?
Well, I mean, basically the Islanders were the Islanders were the victim of this moment in sports branding history where it was going from an unsophisticated business to something that was becoming more of a culture in sports teams, where they were really thinking about how do we make money, that jersey sales aren't just something that happen at the arena, something that can happen through mail order and eventually now online and all of that. And that maybe you could have someone who's not a fan of the team who still buys a jersey just to look fashionable. So the Islanders were even hoping at one point the Fisherman jersey would get rappers on MTV wearing this sort of a look. It seems ridiculous to say so today.
So close.
Yeah, not exactly. But they were hoping to get some of that.
They were near to last in merchandising sales. So they were looking for something. And what I saw in your book is they actually did rise in the merchandising rankings from the Fisherman logo, no?
Right. They sold 10,000 jerseys once they unveiled the Fisherman logo. A lot of fans, even if they say they despise the new jersey, they just want to wear whatever their latest team's look is.
I still see them today.
Yeah. And that was something that made me curious again when I first did the book. You go to Nassau Coliseum, you go to the Barclays Center, there are tons of people wearing Fisherman jerseys still. So they may, again, say that they don't like it, but there's something about it that's either retro, nostalgic. People are still gravitating toward it.
Okay, so they wanted to spur merchandising sales. They wanted a boost. But why this? What was the reason for this? And how did it become such an epic fail?
Well, they were trying to think about something that could be kind of symbolized in both a mascot and a logo. So you want something that's going to be able to move around, and it's some sort of an animated image. And what they come back to is right around this time they're looking about what is a symbol of Long Island. And they can't really come on one definitive symbol that you could put into a logo. The original Islanders logo is just a map of Long Island itself. So one of the things they come back to is, well, Billy Joel is a favorite son of Long Island. He's not only somebody who is from Long Island, but he's very proud to be a Long Islander. He sings about Long Island, and he just had a song come out in 1988 called Downeaster Alexa, which was all about the struggles of East End baymen, fishermen who were fighting these new state regulations and diminishing catches. And one of the things that they mentioned in that song, it actually ends with, "There ain't no island left for islanders like me." So the Islanders say, this is a great image for us. A fisherman, maybe Billy Joel will start going to the games. We can pick up on the celebrity appeal that he has. Unfortunately, none of that really happens. They try to get him to come out to games, and he politely declines.
I kind of get the thinking a little bit. Yeah. I kind of get it, but it didn't work. Yeah. Now, who eventually passed this forward, though? Who said, basically, okay, let's do it? Was it a big brain trust of people, or, two or three?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the Islanders at the time were controlled by this management group called the Gang of Four, these four minority stakeholders in the team who had authority to pretty much make whatever decisions they want in day-to-day operations.
It only lasted 2 years.
Right.
Because basically the fans had a revolt. So how did the Islanders basically cry uncle and say, okay, we tried, it didn't work, we'll go back?
I think that there was a bunch of things, because the logo, not only were they losing in the seasons where they wore the logo, so it immediately had that association with just bad teams, last place teams, but then they were going through all of these other terrible times. They hired Mike Milbury to be their coach, and he was shoving and spitting at players. They were bought by John Spano, who was supposed to be this billionaire owner who was going to buy elite players and rebuild Nassau Coliseum. It was going to be awesome. And then it turns out that he's a con artist, and he really doesn't have the money that he said he did to buy the team. So the logo got tied up with all this stuff that I think eventually the Islanders realized, why don't we move past it? There's really no good that it's doing for us anymore. And of course, then jersey sales will increase of the old logo because people liked it so much. So I think that was a logical conclusion.
So basically 2 years in now. So this span of time in the Islanders, I mean, how would you describe it? Because it really is, it's almost undescribable to see all the things that they went through.
Yeah.
I mean, it led you to write a book.
Right. Because it's not just about the logo, right? And so I say in the book, they went through a 28-month span that is more humiliating than most teams go through in 28 years. It's just kind of incredible. They trade for a star player in Kirk Muller who refuses to report to the team. And all of the craziness of Mike Milbury behind the bench and clashing with all of his players. He has to be physically restrained from having fights with Wendell Clark and other players. So Nassau Coliseum's roof is leaking. I mean, maybe I'm biased because I'm such a big Islanders fan, and so I'm just like kind of used to the abuse that we get as Islanders fans, short shrift. But it's hard to imagine a team going through as much as they had to in this very short period.